Wisconsin. We know in this election, Wisconsin went to Donald Trump. You're looking at a pre-Trump election because I just want to show you this is what a battleground state like Wisconsin looked like not that long ago. When Barack Obama ran and carried the state over John McCain, look at all the blue here. So many of these are small rural counties with blue-collar populations. Barack Obama could sweep almost all these counties. Democrats were competitive here.
John McCain was a pivotal point for the Republican Party. Under the Obama administration, the Republicans actively did the Tea Party caucus, which was, again, led by the Koch brothers at the time, now Koch brother, because the other one died. But John McCain was the old school, I would say, country club Republican, more moderate in a lot of positions, whereas they wanted to basically hyper-focus on a base that was growing, and they wanted to prime them. So what did they do? McCain was the last Bush Republican. Yeah, you mean George H.W. Bush, though, not George W. Bush. Because I would go so far as to say that George W. Bush was like an in-between, a country club Republican and the Tea Party Republican, the Tea Party style Republican. If we were to bracket the Republican Party, there's like two different aspects to it. Back in the day, you had the William F. Buckley style elitist Republicans who would talk about melting the poor very openly, and they were the party of the elite. Then Ronald Reagan was the first shot of swapping that out for like a yokel, a salt of the earth type person. He was an actor, so I think he was able to basically fit that role, but he still had that country club attitude, okay, despite being a massive populist. George H.W. Bush, on the other hand, was very much so the boring, lame-ass nerd country club Republican. And then George W. Bush was somewhere in between again. H.W. came after Reagan. No, I'm explaining to you how over the years they leaned more and more into the populist Tea Party, outwardly racist, dare I say, stupid version of the party. George W. Bush was somewhere in between because he was, also presenting himself as a salt of the earth type person, kind of goofy, kind of silly, kind of telegenic, kind of charismatic. And I think that after that, the Republican Party tried to get back to the old method with John McCain. And then to even less success, they thought John McCain lost because of Sarah Palin. So they brought forward an even more country club style Republican with Mitt Romney. Obama won both times. And then the rest is history, obviously. You know the rest. You were there for it. Trump, full tilt, went right-wing populist, full tilt, no more country club Republican bullshit. And seemingly all of the people that left the party at that time frame, the Lincoln Project people, the former Obama administration consultants, went and found themselves comfortably in the confines of the Democratic Party and have actively tried to change the Democratic Party and successfully have changed the Democratic Party into the image of the country club Republican Party. But Romney was a country club Republican too, which I think ultimately may have been the last straw for Republican insiders who kept losing on the elitist strategy. No, the Republican strategists still wanted to run country club Republicans. What do you mean? And they still are trying to run country club Republicans. They just fail because Donald Trump owns them. There were 18 candidates on that stage. You had the classic like weirdos that existed in the Republican primaries as well in the past, the flat tax defenders and people of that sort. But then you had Donald Trump. But if you think about it, most of the people that Donald Trump eviscerated, with the exception of like a Ben Carson type, was most of the people that Donald Trump destroyed were like Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush. He destroyed them. He destroyed the country club Republicans. He was like, no, you're done. And then, although they were originally against Trump's reign, right, they had to concede because they were like, we have an election that we must win. Ironic, I know, because Donald Trump does own country clubs, but he is not a country club Republican. Come on. Ironic because he is not only a country club owner, but he is also personally a billionaire, which is exactly what country club Republicans were trying to aesthetically represent. Old money types who speak a certain way. So Donald Trump basically smacked the shit out of the rest of the lineup and completely dominated the Republican Party and changed it by force to suit his own vision. That did not stop the Republicans from trying to actively moderate him and bring the party back to their own vision, their own desires. That's why they slapped him with Mike Pence, who was a freak and a phony and a weird evangelical born-again Christian nut job. Having said that, he was very much in the pocket of the Koch brothers. We saw how that ended. And then this last primary cycle, what did they try to do? They literally held separate conferences for Ron DeSantis. They thought Ron DeSantis is our guy. Then they were like, okay, maybe Nikki Haley is our guy. Donald Trump destroyed them as well. And that's it. He forced them to submit. Once again, I still can't believe someone as sauce as Nikki Haley tried to run. If Nikki Haley was on the ticket, I think she would have done as good as a job as Donald Trump, if not maybe even a better job, honestly. Because why go for the diet version when you have the real thing still comes to mind, especially when Kamala Harris saw Nikki Haley and literally tried to emulate Nikki Haley. She was making it seem like this general election was going to be the Republican primary 2.0. And in some respects, it was. That's exactly what happened.
Take a look at this map, and I'm going to call up what just happened this week. All that blue has become, look at all that red. All of those blue-collar areas with Donald Trump as the Republican leader for the last 8 years have moved this dramatically to the Republicans, and it's left the Democrats relying more than ever on areas like Madison, Wisconsin, Milwaukee County, areas that have large populations of voters with college degrees, of higher income voters, of progressive voters. And in this election, Kristen, it just wasn't enough for the Democrats to lean on that when they've lost so much ground with blue-collar voters elsewhere.
Steve, it is just striking to look at that map of Wisconsin and, frankly, all the results that you laid out. Now, look, the results are in. They're not going to change. It is worth noting there is still counting going on.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember from 2020, it took about a month till we got all the national popular vote. And let me just show you, nationally here, one thing we're waiting on big. We know California is a Harris state, but as I said, still some votes to come. 75% is in. That means there are millions more votes just from California. And there are other states like this. A lot of it has to do with vote by mail, those ballots taking a long time for some of these states. So when you look at where the current popular vote stands, you've got there probably another 10 million or so, when all is said and done, are going to be added to this. This has been the story for a while in states like California. They take a very long time.
Chomsky consistently started saying after 2016 that we live in a post-fact world. Would you agree, or do you think the misinformation crisis is more complicated? No, he's 100% on the money. He's so right. And every major institution is participating in that. Dude, if you look no further than the way that every single media outlet covered the story in Amsterdam. Because, like, we know how right-wingers hallucinate an alternative reality and prime their base into believing it, and their entire media ecosystem gets everyone on board with this shit, right? We already know that. But the liberal media space also does that to less success.